We believe we believe it will not only speak to your mind, but also touch your heart and stir your imagination. May I request Shruti to play the video for us?
Would be an absolute pleasure, Kenneth, to do that. And I would love if everybody could, sway along in your own emotions with that video. Here we go. I hope the screen is visible for everyone.
It is.
Audible as well.
आशाएं 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 कुछ पाने की हो आशा कोई अरमा हो जो खास खास आशाएं हर कोशिश में हो बार बार कर दरियाओं को आर पार आशाएं तूफानों को चीर के मंजिलों को चीर ले आशाएं उम्मीदें हंसे अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी शायद खिले उम्मीदें हंसे अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी उड़ जाए लेके खुशी अपने संग तुझको वहाँ जन्नत से मुलाकात हो पूरी हो तेरी हर दुआ आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी
गुजरे ऐसी हर रात रात हो ख्वाहिशों से बात बात आशाएं लेकर सूरत से आग आग गाए जा अपना राग राग आशाएं
कुछ ऐसा करके दिखा खुद खुश हो जाए खुदा आशाएं उम्मीदें हंसी अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं उम्मीदें हंसी अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी
I think everybody was just uh, overwhelmed or mesmerized looking at that video. Coming in from our wonderful, lovely coaches right here, attending right here. And I think the anticipation from Shantanu, who mentioned anticipation, was for this. And it was a curtain raiser. How about it, Kenneth?
Absolutely. And Deepika had asked us what is the strongest emotion. And the last piece from Debishi, emotions that struck hard with me was inspiration. So on that note, with hope as our harmony and courage as our chorus, we bring to you We Are the World. We're attempting a live performance here, Shruti and I. And Neha, if I may request you to please share the screen.
And please bear with us. Yeah. All right.
From the start now.
I think the audio needs to be shared, right? We can't hear that.
Yeah, I can't hear. So Neha, if you share again and share your audio right also. Like enable audio. When you're sharing, the screen should give you an option of enabling audio. Hi, Sangeeta.
Hey, Kenneth, that was awesome. Looking forward for
You
more
were
fun.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call.
When the world must come together as one.
There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all.
And go on, pretending day by day that somewhere will soon make a change.
We are all a part of God's great big family. And the truth, love is all we need.
We are the world. We
We
are
are the
the children.
children.
We are
We
the
are the
ones who
ones make
make
a
a brighter
brighter
day.
day. So
So let's
let's
start
start
giving. There's
Oh,
a
there's
choice
a
to
choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me.
welcome your heart. So they'll know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free.
As God has shown us by turning stone to bread. And so we all must lend a helping hand.
We are the world. We are the
Please join
children.
us.
We
We
are the
are the
ones who
ones
make
who
a
make
brighter
a better
day.
day.
So let's
Let's
start
start giving.
giving. There's a
The
choice we're
choice we're
making.
making.
We're
We're
saving
saving our
our
own
lives.
lives.
It's true,
It's
we
true,
make a
we'll make a
better
better
day.
day. Just
Just
you
you
and
and
me.
me. Come on.
Everyone together. We are the world. We are the children.
Join in.
We are the ones to make a
We
brighter
are the
day.
world.
So let's start giving. Everyone, there's a choice we're
choice to
making.
maker.
We're
Make
saving
a better
our own
day.
lives.
Children,
Just you
We
and
are the
the
me.
world.
world.
We are the
The
children.
children.
We are
We
the
We are
are the
the
ones who
ones
make
ones
a
who
who
make a
make
brighter
a
brighter
day.
brighter
day.
So let's
Please,
start
day.
let's start
giving.
giving.
There's
There's
a
a choice we're
choice we're
making.
making. living our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and
Me.
me.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope it was awesome. Deepika, over to you, please.
Oh,
Over
this
to
was
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Wow, what an enthralling start to the evening. And we can now imagine what we can expect as we go forward. ICW is our moment to shine a spotlight on the transformative power of coaching. It's time to reflect on our shared mission and vision, to celebrate the impact we make together. Our theme this evening is Coaching Mosaic, discovering the position of coaching in organizational transformation, exploring real questions, challenges, and success stories. Like individual styles of Mosaic, each person brings unique strengths and perspectives through insightful discussions on team coaching perspectives from our PUC panel. And engaging creative activities. We delve on nuances of coaching, collaboration, and leadership. Let's embark on this journey to discover how together we craft the masterpiece of collective success. Before we begin, I just want to make an exciting announcement. We want everybody to participate. And therefore, at the end of every session, we look at your value added contributions and you will go into the Hall of Fame. So make sure that it's your event and make it your own. So I would really like you all to participate and keep contributing because we learn from each other. Now it's my honor to invite Debishi, President of ICF Delhi NCR chapter, to share a few words and to introduce and welcome Shweta Handa for our welcome address. Debishi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for starting this evening with a song. So, today is a special day, not just because we are celebrating ICW week. I just got a mail from PAC where I asked her, can you tell me what is the number of ICF coaches we have in India? And she told me it's 2,000. So today, the conversation that we are going to have has to have a aspect of impact. Today in India, when we are having a 2.2 trillion economy with a population of 1.46 billion and with an average age of 28 years, we are ready to partner with the industry. And who can be better to talk about this partnership other than our very own Sweta Handa Gupta? So I've promised her I'm going to keep it very short. So what you won't find on LinkedIn is Shweta is somebody who makes complex change very, very simple. She is the chair of ICF Global Enterprise Board, a CEO coach, and most importantly, what sets her apart is her stand, to make coaching a thriving, respected, and a results-driven profession. So, Sweta, over to you. Please take us through your stories and how we are ready to change the positioning of coaching in the industry. Over to you,
Thank you, Debushi. Thank you so much. And thank you all for that very lovely opening. It is such an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you as part of this special ICW 2025 gathering. And literally, my deepest gratitude to ICF Delhi NCR chapter team and leadership for inviting me here today and for the little calls that made me think of, what am I even going to talk about with you guys? To explore the positioning, a very interesting new topic, the positioning of coaching in the industry, the positioning of coaching in organizational transformation, and with that beautiful name, to explore the coaching mosaic. Now, I invite you all to consider, what do we see when we look at a mosaic from a distance? Just for a moment, consider that. What I see typically is we see a beautiful picture. Sometimes we see it like a piece of art. But as you step closer to a mosaic, what do you see? Up close, a mosaic is fragments. It's broken pieces, sometimes with jagged edges that don't quite align. And very honestly, that's what organizational transformation really feels like. It's messy, it's incomplete, it's uncomfortable. And yet, it is in that mess that coaching found its place. We like to imagine organizations or the industry as a smooth mosaic, neat tiles, well-laid plans, predictable results. But in reality, change is more like standing on a fault line. You can't always see the shift coming. And when it does, what cracks open first is not the system, it's the human mind. Just think about that. And if you're willing, drop a word or an emoji in the chat. What does transformation actually feel like when you're in it? Just drop a few words there. And I invite you to consider that the question isn't just where coaching can fit in organization transformation. The question for me is, what does coaching hold that nothing else can?
So, Shweta, I can see Rajesh talking about sharp, though Kaushik would go on to the pitch deck. I don't know. Was it Rajesh for this or otherwise to Shweta's remark?
No, this was not for Shweta,
Yeah,
Deepika. This was actually on the
Kaushik's remark.
comment that Kaushik said. I should have written thought. I missed the T. So the thought that
Okay.
we are 1 in a billion is a sharp thought, and that will
Yeah.
surely go into the pitch deck of a lot of coaches like us. Sorry
Okay.
about this. Shweta, please go on. And yeah.
Deepika, I'll invite you in the conversation when we're ready to go to the chat.
Sure.
And just on that note, on that very interesting note, we are 60,000 plus worldwide. So, hey, we need more than 2,000 in India now. But getting back to what I was talking to you about, transformation in organizations. And let me take you into a boardroom now. Not long ago, I was part of a board meeting, one of those where everything looks perfect on paper. The transformation plan was robust, the strategy was approved, the numbers were tight. But it was in a side conversation that the real pivot happened. One senior leader said quietly, "We've built everything on performance, but it feels like we're cracking beneath it." And that moment changed everything. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. It was a coaching mindset at that time, the energy, the presence of a coaching way of thinking that gave space for the truth to emerge. And just so happened that I am a board member in that for-profit organization, because in that moment, another leader turned to me and said, "Shweta, you're also a coach, right? Do you think a coach is what we need? And how do we find the right ones?" And that is a question that I get asked a lot of times. So when Debashi invited me to talk about what more we need to do to position ourselves through the industry, I'm like, I get it. This is the one question I get asked most often. How do we find the right ones? The good news is that organizations at the C-level, at the board level, are realizing that we don't need another dashboard. We need, sometimes what we needed is a human reset. Because transformation doesn't begin with data. And the transformation in this boardroom didn't begin with data, it began with honesty. And now, once more, I'm going to invite you to take a moment and think. Have you ever been in a conversation, maybe with a client, a team, as a leader, where what you really needed wasn't more data, but more honesty? If that moment comes to mind, just type yes in the chat box. If you've ever had a moment where you didn't need more information, where you didn't need more data, what you needed was more honesty. And I see a lot of yeses popping up there. Yes, 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 yes. We're seeing so much of yes. And I think that is the unseen power of coaching. The power of coaching is catalytic because we create space for that honesty in organizations. Not just in the one-on-one coaching sessions, but in the coaching approach to leadership, in the coaching approach to managing people, in the coaching mindset, in every conversation that we as leaders and coaches take to the world, we create space for honesty. We create space for discovering the stories behind the data. When I began coaching in 2007, and such connect with the topic that ICF Delhi has picked for today, I was a change management expert in a Fortune 50 organization. Coaching for me was just one of the very, very many methods and tools that I used to drive organization transformation. I used to lead the change management practice for IBM at that time when I got trained as a coach. And the landscape looked very different then, because we want to talk about the industry and what has changed. Coaching back then was largely seen as remedial, as a tool to fix leadership gaps. More than that, because we've heard enough about that, but it was isolated. It was unmeasured. It was often misunderstood. Most organizations didn't know what coaching could do. And when I talk to you today about, the 3 ways in which you can position yourself, I invite you to keep this in mind. A lot of organizations even today aren't fully aware of what coaching can do. Many coaches struggled to articulate that value. A lot has changed, but it's still a challenge that I hear about pretty often. What has changed, though, is that coaching is being called into the room much earlier than it ever was. From a board meeting where a board leader asked me, Shweta, you're a coach. Do you think we need a coach? That happened now, recently, a few months ago. 2007, I'm pretty confident nobody in a board even knew what coaching was. So not just as a tool for the individual, coaching is now seen as a lever for cultural evolution, for leadership development, for systemic transformation, and as we often say at ICF, to empower the world through coaching, to create shifts in societies, in the landscape of the world, not just in the room. What has shifted now is that organizations, leaders, people, and when I say organizations, not just the large MNCs, every small group, it could be a non-for-profit that you're serving, people look for coaches who understand context. People look for informed coaching. We're looking for people who speak the language of the future, of strategy, who bring ethical clarity in times of flux. Because what has changed is not just the perception of coaching. What has changed is the expectation of what a coach brings to the table. It's no longer just empathy, though that underpins a lot. It's no longer just empathy, it's insight. It's no longer just reflection, but talking to the outcomes, not creating the outcomes, but talking to them. Not just powerful questions, but coaching presence. Think of that. Coaching presence for me is one of the most powerful tools that we have. The leadership presence that we can enable through a coaching presence. The ask has evolved, and I think so must we. We love to talk about the impact of AI. And I often say AI in coaching is just a call for us to evolve as coaches. Because model-based, structured 5-question coaching is going to go out of fashion soon. But being a deep, ethical conversation partner, mirror, enabling future thinking, that's a role we still are being called upon to play. Because you see, transformation doesn't begin when the process is defined. I remember my IBM days, it was all as is to be. Those were two of our favorite words, yeah. But transformation doesn't begin when the as is and to be is defined. It doesn't begin when the new leader is hired. It doesn't even begin when the org chart is approved or the business model is created. It actually begins in quieter places. It begins when the leader realizes that their old ways of leading no longer serve them. It began at the point where the organization realized that the business model has to shift. It begins in the moment where someone looks beyond the metrics and articulates the truth. It begins when teams and leaders find the courage to let go of the story that they've been holding on to, the story that brought them here. I'm going to share something very personal with you. Years ago, long before I led boards or coached leaders, I went through a deep transformation of a very different kind. More than a couple of decades ago, almost, it's going to be 25 years, it's going to be a long time. I had a traumatic brain injury after which I slipped into a coma and lost most of my memories. When I came out of that, I had to relearn how to think. I had to relearn everything, but I had to relearn how to remember. I had to relearn to change the weight I gave to memories. I had to learn how to make meaning in what felt like fragments. And one of the many lessons that I learned that has stayed with me every day since is that real change is not hard because it's new, though we love to believe that. Real change is hard for the individual, for the person, for the mind. It's hard because it rewrites who we think we are. I'm going to let that sit. Real change is difficult because it rewrites what we think we want to be. It forces us to think what our future needs us to be. And the reason why this is important is this is the moment in which we as coaches need to embrace that exactly that is what coaching supports. Not just behavioral change. Coaching supports identity level transformation. It supports identity level integration. We're not just change agents, we are sense makers. When all of those fragments are all around us, you know, when I think of the mosaic, I think of coaching as the grout that holds the pieces together, that little white stuff, the grout from which we join the pieces. That's what coaching is. We are sense makers. We sit with people at the fault lines between who they were and who the future is asking them to become. So what does that mean for us as coaches and as practitioners? It means, I think it means that we need to stop trying to fit coaching into existing boxes. We need to start positioning and presenting coaching as the key that unlocks the new boxes. There are three things that I hope you'll take with you as you step into the industry. One is to own your value as a capacity builder. Because coaching isn't soft. It builds the psychological capacity for decision making. It builds the capacity for risk taking, for risk navigation, for transformation. And we as coaches need to learn to speak to that. When clients see you as someone who expands their thinking, you stop being optional. You stop being the good to have. You become the need to have. 2, position yourself at the intersection of purpose and performance. I've seen coaches feel like they need to choose between the two now. We are sitting at the line where we hold both. Leaders today are being overwhelmed with information, but what they're starving for is clarity. And I invite each one of you, I invite all of us as coaches to be the person who helps them think better, not just feel better, think better. And 3, Tell your stories, share your philosophies, show your frameworks, make your credibility visible. Senior leaders don't buy coaching. They don't. They buy confidence in the coach. So don't shrink. Make your credibility visible. Coaching is no longer something people call in after the transformation begins. Increasingly, it's the intervention we choose to make sure the transformation will work. And it's time for us as coaches to own that seat fully. You know, I truly believe in those moments where we think, we realize, and it may be true sometimes, that coaching doesn't always change the outcome directly. It changes the person who's creating those outcomes. It changes the people who are creating those outcomes. And that's how coaching creates outcomes. When we're building a greater world, we're changing the world one person at a time. We're changing the world one leader at a time, one conversation at a time. We're not supporting change. We are catalyzing change. We're initiating change. We are sowing the seeds in the minds of millions of people that we interact with a coaching approach and a coaching mindset. We are sowing the seeds of change. We are building the forest of change. And in a world that's moving faster, that many can integrate or make sense of, that might be our most important role. We're not just service providers, we are stewards of coherence. We hold the space where the truth lands, where leadership breathes, and where change becomes real. So now I invite you at the end, don't just ask where coaching fits into the mosaic. Ask what will fall apart without it. Then go. And go be the force that holds it together, that holds the mosaic together, not just visibly, but meaningfully. And to close this session, I invite you to pause and ask yourself, what would shift if you showed up not just as a coach, but as a necessary voice in transformation? Where are you still waiting for confidence to own that role? Think about it. And if we have time, which I know we most probably won't, drop into the chat box. If you're noticing a place where you might be holding back your voice, your presence, your power as a coach, just do a +1. I know I'm doing that. So me too. Not that one, just +1. Yes, there are spaces where I'm holding back your voice. Recognize those spaces and stop shrinking. Own your voice in this transformation. Thank you. And I can see a lot of pluses coming up.
A lot of pluses and some really, really good insights. Some really good insights. Yeah. Kenneth?
Wow, so I'm overwhelmed. Shweta, what shifted my perspective significantly was that the leaders buy the confidence in the coach and not the coaching. Gratitude to you, Shweta, wholeheartedly for such a power-packed and so inspiring words. So it's difficult to summarize, but this session, we've set the stage for an event filled with learning, unlearning, collaboration, and celebration as well. So we'd love to leverage on the momentum and let's carry the energy forward.
Thank you. And I think it was beautiful, Shweta. Thank you very much. And, for me, what stood out was real change is rewriting who we are and rewriting for our coachee as well, who they are. So that's beautiful and stood up for me. So let's move on. Thank you, Shweta. And organizations today are living mosaics, as Shweta also highlighted, composed of shifting pieces, evolving needs, and emerging possibilities. No two mosaics looks the same. With its intricate picture, Coaching plays a dynamic role, sometimes at the center, sometimes at the fringes, but always essential part of the growth story. To understand this story and learn how it becomes possible through team coaching, which is obviously an area which is growing phenomenally right now. We have our next session hosted by Seema Bangia, an HR professional who specializes in transforming organization into high-performing teams. Through her coaching and business skills, she is an ICF ACC certified coach, director of education in our chapter. So welcome, Seema, for the next section of the event today.
Thank you so much, Deepika. And you have very aptly introduced our segment on team coaching. And this is very apt, especially after Shweta's session. As we dive into today's conversations, it is important that we have a guide, someone who could navigate us through by asking the right questions and ensure that all voices are heard. Our moderator, Sandhya Mathur, brings just that blend of insight, curiosity, and clarity. Sandhya is the first director for credentials in our chapter, and I think this is her second term. She's coaching and leadership ecosystem that empowers professionals. She's the founder of Inward Focus, where she just mentors and coach several executives, women and professionals. As the Director of Education and Symbiosis Coaching, USA, Sandhya blends global best practices with deep emotional and spiritual intelligence to elevate coaches worldwide. She has mentored thousands of coaches, guiding them toward that she calls Spire moments. So I invite Sandhya to take this session forward. And Linda has already joined us. So I'm very happy to see Linda and her team, Zeba. So over to you, Sandhya, to take this session forward.
Thank you so much, Seema. Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you for this honor of welcoming Linda here today. Welcome, Linda. It's truly an honor to have you here. So I hope I'm doing justice to Linda's accomplishments here. Linda is a PCC and ORSC certified executive and team coach. She's the founder and CEO of the Verlet Group, and she's Global Faculty Development Director at CRR Global. With over 2 decades of experience, she's been at the forefront of transforming leadership and team dynamics across multicultural organizations, especially in the GCC and Southern Africa. Her work beautifully blends systems thinking, emotional intelligence, and conscious leadership, values that deeply align with my own coaching philosophy. Please join me in warmly welcoming Linda to this conversation.
Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to be here and to spend this time with you. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. I feel very honored to be in this conversation with you.
Thanks, Linda. It's such a joy to have you here today. And the interactions we've been having through email and it's been really wonderful. And that's why right at the beginning of the session, when we were asked, what are we feeling? I said enthusiastic. I was so eager to meet you here. So, we've all heard about your work, we've read about you. And what I see is that you've had an inspiring journey in coaching and leadership development. So let's start right at the beginning. And I would, along with me, I think everyone in the chapter, our entire audience would love to know how and when did your coaching journey begin?
2007 and fate.
Ah, nice.
I was so my background is learning and development throughout my career. I was also leading change and the change function, and I was grappling with the thought that you can't tell executive leaders what to do because they know everything, right? So I was trying to figure out how do I get them to embrace change, the principle of change? And I have to admit, I'm a little bit of a I like books and I like reading, so I'm a geek. You know, I'm the geek that will go and stand in the queue for 3 or 4 hours waiting to get the book autographed by the author. And I was standing in such a queue waiting for oh mamma mia, Paulo Coelho. And in front of me was a lady whom I had never met, but worked for the same organization. We worked for a large local regional organization. We got chatting. Anyway, fast forward a few months, and I got to my desk. There was a pack on my desk, and she said, this, I've never seen this lady since, by the way. And she wrote a note. She said, I went to this workshop. I think you would be fantastic at this. I want you to give them a call. For some reason, I did. And I joined CTI and then came through to ORSC, and the rest is history. I felt this profound sense of I was taking the first step to the rest of my life.
That's beautiful. So
It
that
was almost prophetic.
perfect. That's what drew you to coaching specifically? Is that what it was?
Well, yes. And, you know, I had to go through my own transformational journey. And then I realized there was this coaching program that talked about relationships in organizations. And I'm Italian and I come from a loud, noisy family. And so relationships are very intriguing to me. And I don't know, for some reason that piqued my interest. And then when I went through the program, like I say, it felt prophetic because I understood that neither conflict nor change need to be traumatic. Uncomfortable, sure. Who likes either of those things? But neither of them need to be traumatic, particularly in organizations, you know. And so once I had tools and skills to help organizations move through change or move through conflict in a way that honors everybody and honors every voice, I was extremely excited. That's what's kept me grounded in this work.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think all of us can, at least some of us here, can definitely understand coming from large families, right?
Yeah.
Especially in India. Yeah. So, Linda, what led to the creation of the Berlet Group? Was there a particular gap or a need you felt that you needed to address? What was it?
Well, several things. How personal would you like me to go?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Several things happened at the same time. I was working for an organization that I loved, and I realized that I wasn't doing what I loved. My heart was in team coaching. The organization, team coaching was so new in 2009 that the organization couldn't see my vision. I was diagnosed with breast cancer and had my operation, and then went back to work and went straight back into it. And of course, when you don't give your body time to heal and process the trauma, 2 months in, I hit the wall, went crying to my doctor, can you give me a week off? She said to me, don't be ridiculous. You've just had life-altering operation. I'd lost my mom 6 months before. I got just divorced. And she said to me, my suggestion is you take 6 weeks, go and sit on a deserted island and think about your life. And that's what I did. In a moment of, I would say, brilliance, I decided to listen to my doctor, because normally I'm stubborn and I think I know best. But in this moment, I listened to her. And when I came back, it was very clear that I needed to follow my own path, that there was a niche there was a niche available that wasn't very well known. And I found I had to educate clients a lot, but I knew that I could bring all of myself and make a difference to teams and organizations. And that's what I did. I came back and I resigned. My boss didn't let me, she accepted my resignation, but she didn't let me resign. Bless her. This is the quality of the relationships that we had. She didn't let me leave for another I think 8 months, she asked me to finish my projects as I ramped up my personal business. She was afraid that I was working on what's the word when you're impulsive? And I stayed as I built up my client base, and then I left. I left, and we're still on very good terms.
Beautiful. So that's a lot of personal journey you
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And I guess listening to your doctor at that time paid off.
100%. I think, my journey, everything has led me to this point. My previous work experience, my health experience, the experiences that I've had first as a client and now as a coach, they all help to make me the coach that I am today. And I bring all of that to my clients.
Absolutely, Linda. And you couldn't have put it better, because coaching is not just about the certificates we get, right? It's about how you evolve within, correct?
Right.
As a coach. And that's when you can bring that experience, that transformation into your coaching. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that, all those vulnerable moments.
My pleasure. I have an example to share on this. My dad and I, well, we're a feisty family, right? And I'm a real chip off my old dad's block. And so we've always had a very feisty relationship. And I didn't want, as he got older, I didn't want that to be our legacy. I wanted us to have joy. And so I've been really working a lot on myself as I show up in that relationship, changing who I am so that it can invite a different type of relationship. Last week, and that's been going for the last 5 years. Last week, I stood in front of a client for what was possibly the toughest coaching engagement I've ever had. And I was able to stay centered and, work through that process. And driving home, I realized, wow, the work I've done, all that work I've done on myself to be in the relationship with my dad has made me a better coach. I can stand in the fire when the client is throwing certain things my way. So it's all connected.
Absolutely. I do believe that a coach can only take their clients as deep as they've been themselves, right?
Yeah.
That transformation just helps you understand other people's journeys.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's such a powerful foundation, Linda. What strikes me is how intentional your path has been, from individual transformation to coaching and then to systemic transformation. Beautiful. We would love to explore a little more about your work and your coaching philosophy. Some of it you've already mentioned here. So, Linda, you've been working with multicultural and globally distributed teams.
Yeah.
What makes those dynamics so unique? And what patterns do you see emerging from there?
This is a topic I love talking about, and I could see friends online who've been in my previous webinars. What makes multicultural teams unique is that there are no commonly understood norms. And so if we are open to it, we can truly learn new ways of thinking. We challenge our own perspectives. We learn about different cultures. We make friends from different places in the world, but we learn to stretch our empathy and our understanding of that which is different. And these, for me, are life skills. Of course, all of that is also challenging. When there are no commonly understood norms, it's very easy to misunderstand each other. I always talk about this as an Italian. This gesture means lots of different things, depending on you put it here, you put it here, you put it here and lower. It means a different thing every time. But here in Dubai, this means wait, shway, shway, slow, slow, wait, or slow down or wait. And for an Italian, when I was new here, I was constantly shocked why are people being so rude to me? And I've not even met them. And so, you know, this is just to say that there are no commonly understood norms. And if you can step into curiosity and become a cultural learner, you can truly expand your ability to stay in that which is different, which is a gift.
True that. And, you know, very well put, Linda. And my experience is that systemic coaching invites a different level, different kind of awareness, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And how do you help leaders begin to create that shift in their thinking from, let's say, individual to team or system level?
It's a new muscle that they need to learn to stretch, right? So we all know emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So it's the awareness I have of myself and the ability I have to self-manage. We also all are very well aware of social intelligence, which is the ability I have to read the room, the empathy I can feel towards you, like you expressed to me when I was speaking a little while ago. That's social intelligence, right? We also have the ability in social intelligence to see the impact I am having on you. There's a new intelligence called relationship systems intelligence, which allows us, and couples understand this very well, by the way, which allows us to see that in any system or team or relationship or dynamic, there is a me, there is a you, but there's something bigger than both of us. And that bigger is the relationship or the team or the marriage. In marriages, we know that, yes, I've got to meet my needs, you meet your needs, we meet each other's needs, but we also have to do things for the sake of the marriage or the marriage will die. Teams need to learn that too. And so when we're working with leaders and teams, we're teaching both of them to, it's almost like we teach them to take a helicopter view and look down at the team and look at, ask themselves, what's trying to happen here? What, instead of, oh, this person is doing this and this person is doing that, zoom out. What are we aware of when we look at ourselves? What's trying to emerge for the team? What wants to happen next for this team? So there's conflict. Oh, what's the conflict about? What wants to happen new? What's the conflict? What's the, in coaching language, what's the dream door that conflict wants to bring? You know, what's on the other side of conflict? So it's a new muscle they get to stretch, both as leaders and as teams. And we want them to learn that, because when you focus on the dynamics or on the team as a whole, it's almost like we move away from my personal culture or my way and your way, and we create a third cultural space, and teams can find alignment in that space rather than compromising. We can find a way that is about my way and your way. I use this example. I have a colleague who is Dutch, and in the Netherlands, they value time. So 7 o'clock is 7 o'clock. I mean, I'm Italian, I live in the Middle East, Yanni, you know, time is a perspective.
Yeah, true.
10 minutes before, 10 minutes after, you know. And so, but however, when we come together, it's very challenging between us. When he says to me, no, 7 is 7, I feel very stressed and claustrophobic. But if I say to him, 7, yes, but I need just 10 minutes of wriggle room, please, he'll say, well, then no, then we meet at 10 past 7. Like, no, that doesn't work. So what we agreed on is I come at 7, and he, you know, for me it's 7 and he comes at 10 past 7. So no one is giving up. It's an aligned way that we find that is inclusive of both of our values or both of what's important. And that's the magic of supporting teams to look at the world through the systemic lens.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I love that, you know, the aspect that it's all based in EQ, you know, understanding the other person, aligning, managing yourself, and then going on to manage your relationships with other people, that needs social intelligence, right? Before the
Absolutely.
social intelligence, of course, is required before the relationship intelligence, of course. Thank you. And would you say that is the philosophy or the guiding principle that anchors your work? How does that?
Yes, I would say yes. I mean, we touched on this before, is I'm very
Yeah.
conscious that as a coach, and I'm sure everybody in the room agrees, as coaches, we bring all of ourselves, you know, our experience, our skills, our knowledge, our education, our life experiences, and we bring all of that to the table as a gift to our clients. And for me, over and above that, yes, the systemic. So ORSC is a systemic way of coaching the system or the team. And that for me underpins a lot of the, not all, but a lot of the work we do, because I truly believe that relationships supersede culture. So when there are cultural differences, if we can sit down with a cup of tea and build our relationship, or over a date and build our relationship, get curious about each other, I think we can overcome many misunderstandings and differences between us. So while I'm steeped in the intercultural work, for me, relationship supersedes everything.
Absolutely. And I love that you strike such a beautiful balance between structure and intuition and emotional intelligence and all of that. It's you know, we need to have a longer conversation sometime.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so there's so much depth in your approach, and that's what is really striking. And clearly a very, very strong connection to both practice and presence. And, you know, we'd love to explore the impact here. So, other than what you've just shared, could you share a transformation story that deeply moved you and stayed with you? I mean, in terms of the work you've done, what kind of impact did it create?
I have so many success stories and also painful stories. But one really has stuck to me, and I will forever think about this team. That I was asked by the CEO, who was fully bought into coaching. He had had a transformational experience, to coach his leadership team in the oil and gas industry. If anybody knows anything about that industry, it's a tough industry. They
Very
don't do
tough.
fluff. They don't do fluffy. They don't do woo-woo. They want practical. They don't do any of that stuff. Forget about talking about emotions. Are you kidding? And so my gift is that I come from a corporate environment. So in the room, I dance in the moment, and I can be totally free and present and respond to my clients' needs by reading the emotional field. But prior to that, I'm quite structured in my approach and the way that I meet them, the way that I create my proposals. And they put me through a rigorous interviewing process, which always makes me happy, because in my mind, rigorous interviewing process equals very serious about change and their coaching journey. So we embarked, and if any of you have ever coached a team, you know that having cynicism in the room is quite normal. And however, this was next level cynicism. And I'm okay with that. I mean, that's the water that I swim in. I was engaged to coach the team and also train them on how to be more coach-like as leaders. So in the morning, I'd split the program, the fundamentals, the ORSC fundamentals program, into 4 half-day sessions. We would do the training piece in the morning, have lunch, and then I would coach them in the afternoon as a leadership team, so that they could experience the tools and come together as a team. This was just before COVID. Yeah, 2019. The cynicism was, you know, I have to underline the cynicism again. You know, there was a lot of this is a load of bollocks, Linda, type of expressions. And so we went along, and there were one or two in particular. However, I'll fast forward to the outcomes, because the outcomes were magical. I kept meeting with the CEO even long after the coaching program had ended, and he was feeding me back on what the results were. The results were that they were taking the tools and skills, like, for example, designing team agreements, such a simple tool for us coaches, right? But for them was so profound. On the rigs, they were working with the workers and allowing the workers to have a voice into designing their team agreements on the rigs, so that the workers could define the behaviors that were acceptable and not acceptable between them. Many of the leaders had their families back at home, and the relationship with their families was not that good, and they saw their families maybe once or twice a year. After the coaching, pictures of families were being put up in their rooms. Wives and families were coming almost every month to visit the leaders here. They were going on holiday. It was almost like the work the leaders learned in the coaching program was not only translated to the rigs and to the entire organization, because they rolled out team coaching programs throughout the organization, but also each leader took those skills back to their families, and it brought their families even closer. So for me, that was a success story. Those, unbeknown to us that COVID was around the corner, those skills allowed those team members on the rigs who were stuck on the rigs for 2 or 3 months at a time. I don't know if you remember how we were in quarantine, 2 or 3 months at a time. And because we taught them about deep democracy, everybody has the right to express their view, every view has the right to be heard and respected. They were having what did they call them? Something like closed circle support groups, conversations on the rigs. Can you imagine? On oil and gas rigs. So that really moved me, and that's the impact that we have and can have as coaches.
That's beautiful. In fact, such a wholesome, when it changes, that's what shift in mindset is, and that is a collective shift.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the next thing about you started with saying that back in 2009, team coaching was unheard of. It was really, really new. So
Yes.
do you feel that it's evolved, especially in regions like GCC and Southern Africa, where you've done a lot of work?
Yes, 100%. COVID, for some reason, helped it evolve. I think prior COVID, organizations were extremely task focused, as they should be. Organizations come together to produce. COVID taught us the importance of empathy and understanding, and taught us to slow down. And when we were having virtual meetings, to ask each other, how are we doing? Like, we were supporting leaders across the globe and helping them process the emotions they were feeling during COVID, and teaching them, leader, instead of diving straight in, just take 5 minutes, check and see, how is everybody doing? How are you all feeling? Like, work with the individuals in the system. And I think that opened the door for the globe, including this region, to understand the importance of team coaching. And after that, we had a huge influx of requests for team coaching. So we are we're out there, we're still educating, but not as much as we were doing in 2009, where people just didn't understand it. Now they do.
It's evolved a lot, and everyone is looking for team coaching and that entire shift.
Yeah.
So, Linda, from your perspective, and everyone here is very keen on team coaching. Some of our audience is already working in that area. Some would love to. So, what is your opinion there? What is your perspective? What qualities, what mindsets do coaches need to cultivate today to be effective in systemic work? Because, we know it's not just a brick and mortar, just structure kind of a approach, right? It's very deep. What is it?
Yeah.
What message would you have for the coaches here?
I think anybody who, well, first of all, you have to be interested in working with groups, and teams. Some people are not. Some people prefer the one-on-one approach. So you have to be interested in doing that. You have to do your own work. I don't think we can stand in front of a system. Well, it's also true in individual coaching, right? I don't think we can stand in front of a system without having done our own work and without us being centered. I've sometimes coached couples, and couples can do all sorts of things to each other. And I've walked away thinking, whew, that was a doozy. I'm glad that session's ended. Let me go and center myself and pull in a coach or pull in a mentor, because it kind of, impacted me. I also went through a divorce. And so I think so that's do your own work, really walk the talk of this work. For me, the ability to educate ourselves in the intercultural piece is key, because now with globalization and these younger generations, they are demanding international placements. So the multicultural groups are not going away. They are going to become more and more popular across the globe, whether it's in person or virtual. So I would say educate ourselves in the intercultural space. And also learn to look for the system, read, go to dinner and turn the volume off, look at couples and people and learn to read emotional fields.
I love that. I love that.
Learn emotional fields. Watch, I love watching Egyptian soap operas, and I turn off the volume and then just learn to just name the emotions you're feeling and to trust your body. Sometimes your body will give you an emotion or you'll see an emotion there. And we have this ability. And I would say this is a key ability, not just in executive coaching, but also in when coaching systems, because you have to listen not just to what's being said, but also what are the signals that you're seeing? What are you sensing? When does the energy shift? And how do you get curious about that? So practice reading the emotional field.
I love that. I love that, really. And I've often wondered if I'm the only one who's watching people in a crowd, not in a judgmental kind of way, but it's about, just learning from the body language, how someone's having a conversation in a restaurant, how it could be a super enthusiastic environment, all chirpy and loud and everything. But somewhere in the corner, you'll find somebody who's kind of not aligned with that energy.
Right.
Yeah. And that's when, you see their stories unfold without even talking to them.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Even in the work environment. Sometimes we are so enthusiastic and we're so connected to our own story and our own experience. But learn to do that. Own your own experience. No one is saying not to. But then take a pause and sit back, and even in a meeting, look around and read the shifts in the room and then get curious about them. Like what happened? Why is everybody quiet? Or people are laughing. What happened over there? Get curious with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's much more than those, as Shweta said, those list of 5 questions and, go firing away and expecting the what and how questions. They just don't work. That's actually counterproductive to the whole concept of coaching, right? Because the potential comes from within. So
absolutely
explore the within, correct? Explore the invisible. Correct. Thanks so much. Sorry.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. So Seema, that was real. Sorry, Linda, that was so enriching. And I do think Siba wants to ask you some questions. Siba, would you like to
Yes, thank you very much.
continue the conversation there?
Thank you so much. Linda, it's beautiful. I was taking down my notes and I made those, specific notes where you talked about observe the shift and, volume off and just observe the emotions. Those are beautiful things you said. And I'm sure we have all learned quite a great from your, insights. Now I have a few more questions before I let you go. We would like to know about your future visions, your, kind of reflections. So, what continues to energize and inspire you in this work today?
People always say to me, when will you retire? I'm like, what? That my brain can't even understand what that means. Like, what? I am driven to help teams fight right. I think for me, in my personal life, conflict has been so painful. And when I watch teams or couples or friends, it's the single source of pain in relationships. And I find most of us are just unskillful. And when we are unskillful, we can be a little toxic, a little hurtful, and we don't mean that. We don't honor ourselves, and we don't honor the person we are in the connection with. And so for me, that's what's driving me at the moment. I'd like to work more and more in conflict resolution, conflict facilitation, and it seems that that's the direction that I am being guided into, particularly across cultures. Different cultures, we communicate in different ways, we have conflict in different ways, and there's a potential for so much misunderstanding. And then we feel offended and disrespected. And I would love to contribute to creating a little more peace in those moments.
How beautiful. I think you said it right. That pause thing which we learn between reacting and responding, even when we are in those kind of emotions. And then, yes, even dance and balcony concept comes in, when we do our own self-reflection. So that's beautiful. My next question to you would be, if you could offer one piece of advice to our younger coach self, because we are all evolving, work in progress. So what would that be?
To believe that anything is possible.
Oh,
anything
wow.
is possible.
Anything is possible.
Everything is possible. If you want it to be, everything is possible. And also to be brave, whether it's being brave in the pursuit of your dreams or being brave in the pursuit of your career, anything, be brave. Don't allow the voices in your head to stop you from being who you really want to be and who you can be. So many times we coach safely in the sense that we choose the clients that we're safe with, or, I don't like conflict, so I'm not going to coach conflict, for example, or I don't like change, so I'm not going to coach change. But actually, in those moments, there's a great potential for growth for us and a huge satisfaction in this. And when we stay vulnerably with our clients in those moments, we grow, but they grow as well. We don't have to be perfect in those moments. And when we do that, we teach them, we role model the way in that regard.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have my colleague here, Bela, and she would like to ask you one question, please. Bela, are you there?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Seema. Hey, Linda. Firstly, just want to, thank you for sharing your story with such honesty and depth. It was truly moving. And, what stood out for me is how genuinely you walk your talk. They were just not words. It felt like lived, like embodied and deeply real. So thank you, Linda, for sharing that. I just have a question and maybe more from a curiosity. Now, what would you say to your past self now, knowing how far you have come? just a feel, something that comes in your mind, what would you say to your past self now?
Don't be so serious and get out of your own way. Honestly,
Wow.
don't take yourself so seriously, really, because no one else cares. You are lovable, and just get out of your own way. We stand so much in our own way. Our fears and our insecurities stop us from doing so much. We wake up so late in life, and by then, you've lost opportunities. It's all a learning curve, so it's all good. But be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's okay. Be comfortable not knowing. Be comfortable just letting the work flow through you. When I was an early coach, I had my timeline and my coaching plan, and I was attached to it. And when the clients threw the spanner in the works, because they are going to show up as they want to, I had to put them in a break, rethink. And now, we will all go through that. And now I can stand in front of a client with some idea of what I'd like for them, but just ask them, what are we working on today? And how, and then bring myself to that conversation. So be relaxed, let the work flow through you and get out of your own way.
Thanks, Linda. And that shows in your energy. So thank you, Linda. And that's a powerful reflection for all of us to go away. Thanks a ton. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. I've loved spending time here with the three of you and with the wider audience behind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Linda. I wish we had more time. We have so many more questions, and I could see audience interest level also. So request to all of you, whatever questions are there which you think they need to be answered, please connect with Linda directly. We are sharing her LinkedIn profile, and please feel free to write to her. Is that right, Linda?
100%. I'm a little slow at responding, but I will respond. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn and ask all the questions you may want to. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, once again. Yeah. So I would like to say thank you on behalf of our chapter and all the audience here for your wisdom, your authenticity, and your presence. And of course, we could feel that energy. It's been such a meaningful and pleasant conversation. We'll see you again, Linda, soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you, Linda, Sandhya, and Seema, for what an insightful session. I picked up many areas which I could apply on myself and my workplace. But I think I want to apply something right now. I want to learn the emotional field. So at this point of time, what is the emotional field the audience is going through? What is the emotional field you're going through? I heard in the beginning, curious, anticipation, excited. I'm seeing some faces, so I can see some emotions, but others are not on camera. So what is the motivated, happy? Great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Love some of those, be relaxed, enriched. Great. Some of the things which resonated with me was anything is possible, be brave, be comfortable with the being uncomfortable. I think that's very important. And something which was very, very specific was relationship supersedes culture. I don't know, meaning organizations should be listening in. Relationship supersedes culture. And I think that brings me to the next session, which is really around the coaching in the PSU mosaic. I'm very intrigued with this session because PSU coaching, like team coaching, has been one of the ever-growing field. And I really would want to welcome this next panel discussion, which is coaching in the PSU mosaic, leadership development and organizational transformation. Another dimension of Mosaic explored. Today, we bring together senior HR leaders and from public sector who will share how coaching is being utilized as a tool for leadership development, alignment, and transformation. We'll explore case studies, challenges, and successes in implementing coaching in their organizations. I was personally coaching a few days back, public sector, and it was a big learning for me, big revelation as to what kind of work, what deep work the PSU is doing today in this area, and what more needs to be done in terms of educating and getting it more, widely accepted. Our moderator for this session is Bharti. I can see her bright smile on the camera. Bharti, welcome. She is an ICF PCC credential coach and director of peer coaching and mentoring at ICF Delhi chapter. With nearly 3 decades of experience in HR leadership, consulting, training, and coaching, she is the founder and CEO of Thrive and Shine Consulting and the author of the Amazon best learning book 10x Wellbeing Intensive. Welcome, Bharti, for this session. Kenneth, would you want to introduce the panelists?
Absolutely, Deepika. Thank you so much. And now let's introduce our esteemed panelists, and it's a privilege for me to call you out. First, we have Ms. Anubha T. Agarwal, Senior General Manager, Engineers India Limited, leading training and development initiatives and employee welfare with over 25 years of experience in core HR functions. Recognized with the Women of Excellence Award by the Indian Institute of Public Enterprises and the CMD's Award for Professional of the Year at EIL. Thank you and welcome, Ms. Anubha. Next, we have Mr. Debashish Satpathy, Chief General Manager, NBCC, with a rich background in leading corporates like Airtel, India Cellular, and Balapur Industries Limited. Debashish is also a visiting faculty at premium business schools, including IITs and IIMs. He has authored over 140 management lessons from the Mahabharata. Welcome, sir. And our last panelist is Mr. Mohit Goyal, Deputy General Manager, Skill and OD, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, bringing over 20 years of experience in marketing operations, sales, and organizational development, a sports enthusiast who represented Punjab State in lawn tennis. Mohit is a pioneer of coaching initiatives within IOCL. So welcome everyone. Over to Bharti to take it forward, please.
Thank you so much for introducing the segment, Deepika, and for the very warm welcome, Kenneth. I also welcome the panelists. And in India, we see coaching moving from the margins to the mainstream in the past few years. For the PSUs, our nation builders, we have started integrating coaching in ways that are unique to your culture and to the context. And since we have you as leaders representing PSU landscape, and you bring experiences with coaching, which is very distinct, with this context, I would invite your reflections to briefly first set the stage. My first question to all of you would be, where and how in coaching currently positioned or perceived in your organization? Maybe Anubha, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bharti. And it's absolute privilege to be here among such wonderful people whose only function and focus in life is to develop people. So couldn't be a better place for any HR professional to be in midst of such people-oriented professionals. Proudly for Engineers India Limited, the coaching journey per se began as far back as 2008. This was when the growth strategy for Engineers India Limited was scripted by McKinsey. And why we wanted a growth strategy was because the climate in which we were operating, largely in the hydrocarbon sector, was facing challenges and we had to diversify. So one of the focus areas that came across from that growth strategy was people development, building a leadership pipeline. And that is where we engaged with Accenture to blueprint the leadership development journey for our 3 rungs of leaders: the business leaders, the functional leaders, and the young leaders. This was modeled around the crucibles of leadership. And this was an action learning project-oriented 6-month-long leadership journey. And one of the important pillars in that journey were coaches. So as far back as 2008, the organization understood the value of coaching. And all my co-panelists and people here would understand what EIL is. And EIL is actually its business, its people. So the concept of mentoring is far back dated than coaching in EIL. The one-to-one learning was long back established. So mentoring being already there as one of the foundations of learning, adopting to a coaching mindset was not very difficult. So once that was set in, and once you expose your business leaders to a concept like this, which seems extremely nebulous to technocrats, but once they are exposed and they understand the meaning and the impact it is creating in their own leadership journey, percolating it down doesn't become so difficult. So since then, we've had this coaching as part of our leadership development program. We also have group coaching for our junior middle management level programs. We have special coaches or mentors, if you say, for our new mothers who join back after career breaks. And they're actually the coming back to the organization is for that brief period of break that happens and the kind of anxieties that woman is facing as a new mother. So that is also there. And we've also exposed our women leaders to an external executive coaching environment recently. So that is working very well in the organization, Bharti.
Thank you. Thank you, Anubha, for sharing what EIL has been doing and how it's perceived in the organization. Would you like to go next, Mr. Satpathy?
Yeah, again, thanks a lot. And I'm honored today to be invited for this particular program. And NBCC, as you know, is an organization which is growing very, very fast. And today you name any huge project of Government of India, whether it's a Bharat Mandapam or World Trade Center, we are there. Almost all the IITs, IIMs, and AIMs are being considered by us. So far as coaching and mentoring is concerned, mentoring is established in the organization in a very, very structured way, let me tell you. Anyone and everyone who is joining in the organization immediately after the orientation program of 15 days or 20 days, they're all being attached to the people, those who are at senior level, to mentor them for the whole year. But so far as the coaching is concerned, there is no structured coaching program in the organization except the senior people spending quality time with the top talents, those who are having potential to be one day at board level position. So that's the reason why, because of the very structured program of coaching, but within the organization, without having any external intervention, there are many board level positions inside the organization as well as outside the organizations have been filled by internal talents. So that's another. But what I'm trying to communicate is that today we are all Arjunas. We want a Krishna to come and communicate to us that coaching is going to make lots of difference, because difficult to convince to engineers that an external coaching, structured coaching is going to make lots of difference in your way. Because if you see the competencies which is essential to be at a leadership position, like result orientation, open-mindedness, proactive, strive for excellence, problem solving, decision making, they're all having that. They're all having that. But putting it in a structured way and convincing them that if you go through a structured coaching program in the organization is going to make lots of difference, that is little missing now. Only internally whatever is happening, there is no external structured coaching which is absent till now.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Satpathy, and that's lovely, because that's exactly the forum you're in, to be able to find ideas from our peer PSU invitees, guests here, to figure out what is the way forward that you could introduce the same in NBCC as well. Thank you. Mohit, now over to you.
Thank you, Bharti. It's indeed been an honor to be present over here, and good evening to Anubha ma'am and Debashish sir. It's really a great honor for our company to be representing, and I being the representative of Indian Oil, that's really a great honor. Like I'll take a cue from Debashish sir's background actually, and he rightly said that we need an Krishna to basically guide Arjunas. So that's where our program comes in. Now at Indian Oil, we have termed this program as Sarthi. So, this initiative started in 2020, though informally this coaching concept had come earlier also, like Anuma ma'am also touched upon. But the proper institutionalization of this program in Indian Oil was in 2020, post-COVID, when there was a need that was felt that yes, we need to do something. And Sarthi, how did that name come? Because we all know that while Mahabharata, while during the fight, Arjuna had a lot of self doubts, a lot of issues. There was nobody challenging his skills, right? So because why I'm saying this, because many of times we confuse mentoring with coaching sometimes. So Arjuna was having all the skills, but somewhere Krishna basically created a self awareness in Arjuna, and that's how we term this coin as Sarthi. The only difference was in coaching, you ask a lot of questions. During Arjuna and Krishna conversation, it was the other way around. So that's the only difference that we have. Under the initiative of Sarthi, we have a mechanism wherein initially 2020 we started with 12 coaches who trained 24 coaches. So that was like for one coach, there were two coaches, and that journey started. And we didn't have any problem statement, let me say. Normally, whenever we start a program, always a kick-in is required so that the program is perceived in the right manner. Because many a times people perceive it, why do I require coaching? Is there some fault in me? Is there some kind of discrepancy or whatever? That's the kind of myth that they have. So initially what we did was we said that these are those 24 people who are the top rankers. So we wanted to have the leaders on board, so that a positive image goes in the market. Yes, you are the chosen ones. So that's how our journey started with 24 people. And then next year we had 100 people on board. And again, last year we had 100 people on board. And I'll just like to quote those facts that normally in a training program, whatever, I won't call it as a training program, any L&D initiative, normally there is a big dropout, 10-20%. And I have the stats with me. In this coaching sessions, we select 100 people. There were only 2 dropouts, and that too just because they were posted out of India. So this was the kind of testimony that people carried. And because we already had a clear mentorship program in our company, which we call it as Guru Mitra. So people always knew that yes, there is mentoring and then there is coaching. So these are 2 parallel activities. And along with that, while we move ahead, we also have a system of developing in-house coaches. Coaching. So we have 5 in-house coaches who are the best in HR people practices. So they are also doing coaching of our internal employees of lower grades, and these external coaches are doing the intervention at the top level, at the leadership level. So that's how the journey at Indian Oil has been.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mohit. So what I'm seeing is that some of the organizations are taking coaching as a strategic lever already, a supportive intervention, and some are at the experimental or maybe even exploring stage. So that's a very good complete scan that we could see from the minimum to the major intervention that is being used. I also heard you say that there were certain Anubha said that there was certain systemic and circumstantial need, a challenge that was to be resolved. That's where the intervention happened. And while Mohit also said that it was a broader desire of the organization to evolve. So again, another mosaic that is visible for even calling it out to why coaching was established or even begun in the organization. So thank you for sharing that. Now, my very next question to you, probably Anubha, to begin with, is what are some of the most felt shifts or the impacts that you have seen in through coaching, or maybe the feedback that you've got, whether it is personally in leadership or in team dynamics or in the culture, however small they may be?
Bharti, typically when we talk to people managers or people who are in the technical side of the business, for them to talk about people issues is extremely uncomfortable. When it comes to people issues, they always feel that is to be handled by HR. With this coaching mindset, what we actually opened up was a space for a free dialogue, for feedback, which was welcome. So initially it was driven, it was structured, it was coordinated. But gradually, because it has been there for so long, it started steeping in that a one-to-one focused dialogue is actually extremely important in an organization which calls itself a people organization. Our employee value proposition is delivering excellence through people. So somewhere this block in the puzzle was missing. And I'm not saying that this, once it is in place, it sticks. It doesn't. There are tendencies to break away because there are tendencies to come back to areas which are very comfortable. Through these continued sustainable efforts around coaching, around leadership development primarily, wherein coaching, as I told you, definitely fits in, what we have visibly seen is that we've been able to produce homegrown leaders to take leadership positions. The erosion of the talent pipeline has not been starkly visible over the last 4, 5, 10 years. So we've been able to get people on the board which are homegrown. We've got CMDs which are homegrown, so much so that we've also exported CMDs to other organizations through this leadership development pipeline. So that's something very, very visible. Now, there are definite merits and demerits of having your own person. But I think the merits overweigh much more. Having your own leader come across. And that was one of the key benefits that we observed. Secondly, if I go back to why we started with the leadership development and why coaching fitted in, was to look at how leaders can lead in areas of diversification. So if you look at today's the percentage of business of EIL, 45% is from core and 44% is from infrastructure business. That speaks huge volumes. That talks about the ability of leaders to take risk. That talks about the ability of leaders to have better decision-making skills. And I'm not being very simplistic in saying that this has happened only because of coaching. But yes, coaching has played a role there. So these are certain shifts that we've seen.
Very well said. That, of course, coaching is one of the contributors that you can pinpoint to for sure. Mohit, would you like to tell us something about IOCL's journey on this?
Yeah. Bharti, actually, when we started with the coaching concept, we had 4 things in mind, basically. So one thing was, definitely, it was for the high potential leaders. That was very clear in our mind, that coaching has to be for the leaders, right? And once it is there for the leaders, the rest will automatically follow. So we had 4 basically goals in mind. One was the organizational capability. Second was leadership development. Third one was self-awareness. And fourth one was problem solving. So we started our frameworks because in PSUs, whenever you start something, you have to have a framework, right? Because we normally work on a very solid foundation so that it can grow accordingly. So we started on these 4 concepts. And in particularly self-awareness, we had strength and weaknesses that person is able to gauge, that where does it stand. And in problem solving, there was how do you handle your team? Interpersonal skills came in. So we, under these 4 subheadings, we had a number of under these 4 headings, we had a number of subheadings wherein because we wanted also to see the impact of coaching. See, specifically, like I was introduced coming from a sales background, normally it's return on investment, but herein it's not returning on investment, it's a return on expectations, basically. So you can you have to gauge the impact. Unless and until you keep on, let us say you keep on doing certain program just for the sake of doing it, that's not how at least CPSs work. So that was one thing we wanted to have to gauge what impact does that have on that. And for that matter, our selection criteria is very stringent. People of grade, let us say DGMs and above, they'll only be exposed to in the initial 100 lot, and they'll be the ones who have very excellent outstanding ratings in last 5 years. So that's a kind of, and then we have our own assessment centers wherein we measure the competency levels, and those people have to be in that top quartile also. So after we did that impact analysis with them, we have the report of each and every individual. Let me tell you, each and every individual was interviewed before and after, and we do it as a 360-degree. So one aspect is having an analysis from the coachee itself, right? That what impact, self-awareness, what did you feel like before and after. The second is the 360 feedback. So 360 feedback means the employees straight away, line manager, the junior, and the top manager in that line. So there are four, we take around feedback from 8 to 10 people in that line. And we have the stats accordingly, that as we have the questionnaire, 30-point questionnaire is there, wherein we saw that impact for the last two batches has been close to 10 to 12% increase in the impact. So we have all the stories. I can just quote some stories wherein the employees are themselves saying that initially because these are all leaders, and they used to tell, there is one story that that person says that I used to fight with my juniors that they're not doing their work timely and all those things. But after I underwent coaching, and I could see that there is some problem within me. I'm not realizing that. And while I went back, there was such a great bonding with my team that we exceeded on their MOU parameter. So actually, some people actually got it translated to business also. So, but yes, it's a kind of real discovery, self-discovery. Maximum people have given feedback that yes, they have improved a lot on two things. One is the time management, and second is the self-awareness part. So that's how Indian Oil is benefiting, and that's how Indian Oil is taking it forward. And like I expressed earlier, like the junior people, we have the internal coaches now. Now those people are coaching those juniors of, let us say, middle managers. We have also a kind of an engagement survey wherein we assess people whether you're satisfied or not satisfied. So there are some leaders who are doing excellent in their job spaces as far as their ratings are concerned, but some disengagement is there. So now for internal people who are the coaches, we have assigned those people. So they are taking care of those people who are excellent leaders, but somewhere not engaged. So both parallel lines are going on.
That's very beautiful, that you're not only developing leaders, but also now using those leaders to develop their own teams. So that the effect is cascaded. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Satpathy, a question to you. What could be in the broader context of the PSUs, it's not about NBCC, what in your opinion could be some doubts or misconceptions that could pose a challenge when coaching is being considered? You know, what is it that could make the adoption harder in an organization?
Right. In fact, I am basically a private sector guy. Let me tell you, very recently I joined just 9 years back in NBCC. I was in Airtel, Idea Cellular, and other companies. What I find is that there is lots of rigidity with the people, and they feel that we are doing a great job, but they don't know that they are working at 50% of their efficiency, right? So that convincing to them that you are a good engineer, but you are not a good leader. Your functional competency is excellent, but your leadership competency is pathetic, right? So you can grow with your functional competency to a particular level. But the moment you grow beyond middle management, it's very, very important to develop your behavioral and managerial and leadership competencies. So that's, I find, is a little stubbornness which is there in the people. But yes, of late, what I find, because of the organization is growing very, very fast, and we found there is a little vacuum which has happened in the organization. Because there are many people, those who have grown in the organization structure, but on intellect, on leadership competencies, they have not grown. So they are also realizing that yes, when you are meeting to other PSU people or other clients outside, there is something seriously missing. And the senior management is also thinking that Bharat Mandapam, such a huge project, which is a prestigious project, how can I give to this guy who is already grown in the organizational ladder, but he has not grown to that particular level of discussing with the ministers, discussing with the secretaries and other clients. So that's a rigidity which is there, but of late I find people have started accepting it. And the way Krishna could convince and transform Arjuna to convince him that yes, you have come here to put the dharma, you know. So just forget that your Bhisma Pitama is standing in front of you. No, he's not Bhisma Pitama, he's your enemy. So that kind of communication has to happen. Then only they will come back. They'll come back and they will be convinced. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That is very beautifully said. And I am picking up this point from what Mr. Satpathy said, changing the mindset. How do you What can PSUs like EIL and IOCL do to share or communicate these positive outcomes, not only within but also beyond, outside for the other PSUs, so that there is wider encouragement and wider acceptance of coaching in the PSU world?
You see, what Mohit was mentioning, the assessment center is a very, very powerful tool, I'll tell you, to give you a mirror that Mr. Satpathy, you are thinking you are a governor, but you are not, right? So there, they could be communicated very well that on these competencies you are very good, but there are many competencies where you are lacking, right?
Yeah.
And you need a coach to communicate to you that the areas in which you need to improve. So that's an important intervention which is there. But otherwise, I'll tell you, in many public sectors, because they are little closed group, they are not exposed to private sector organizations much. So they have a little they don't accept that I am not up to this particular thing. So that's an important thing we need to communicate to them.
Yes. So, Anubha, what would you say? How would EIL and IOCL, starting with Anubha, how would you communicate so that there's more encouragement?
So Mohit and I come from the same industry, and proudly so, the oil and gas PSUs have a collaborative platform. So we meet regularly, we meet almost twice a year and discuss about people issues. We discuss about initiatives taken. So the Sarthi that Mohit talked about, EL knows about it. The Arohan program, IOCL knows about it. We do a lot of collaboration across this platform. And there are centers of excellence within the industry itself, which are managed by the sector. So there's a lot of cross-learning happening within the sector. The other way of showcasing is through forums like IFTIDO, wherein we present case studies. Scope, wherein again, we write articles, we talk about best practices. And it helps us in peer benchmarking. Advocacy is extremely important about issues like this. And when leaders talk about it and they address gatherings, they are representing the organization in a larger platform and talking about how coaching has made a difference to them personally. There could be no other way to create an impact and create authenticity around this subject when the leader walks the talk. And when leadership is visible in the organization. And how is leadership visible in the organization? You look at its track record, you look at its order book, you look at orders secured, you look at the metrics that are there for people, measuring people effectiveness. So if I talk about EIL, we recently were recognized as a great place to work. Now, each email that goes from EIL proudly bears recognized as a great place to work. All these cumulatively make an impact and create that space for coaching to thrive. So all these platforms definitely have helped not only EIL, but all other organizations wherein we have a lot to learn from each other.
So, thank you, Anubha, for sharing that. And you talked about a lot of platforms. Mohit, what is it that you would want to add to this list? Of course, a lot is being done, but what more could be done?
Very rightly said by Anuva ma'am that we being from the same industry, we meet a lot, and that's only possible. In fact, let me tell you, I was working for 20 good years in sales. The bonding that we have in HR, that's not seen in sales actually. So for the last 2 years, I've been meeting distinguished people in HR, and I feel like, wow, that's another place. So we have HR summits. That's the biggest forum that I've seen. We are in all the director HRs of all the public sector undertakings. I'm not talking only about oil and gas, but public sector undertakings. Last time we had met at Kolkata. So then there is IEW. There are a lot of events actually that's happening wherein that connect is there. And yes, coaching has to be promoted that ways. I believe that one thing that is like in L&D spaces, first of all, like at Indian Oil, what we did was we removed that word of training actually. So now it's all L&D, right? It's learning and development. So in that spaces, normally we hear about a 70-20-10 rule, right? So 70 is the on-the-job training, on-the-job learning, and 20% is wherein this coaching bucket comes, right? Because these kids right now on the blocks, they need facts accordingly. So this 70-20-10 rule is quite an acceptable rule as far as L&D space is concerned. So that coaching, which means peer-to-peer learning, is termed as, and only 10% is actually L&D, what we are doing. So 70% on the job is like virtual platforms, online, we learn from each other. So 20% coaching, that's where it comes in. And secondly, leadership, we all say that we are doing it for leadership. Sometimes leaders is a very, what should I say, is a misunderstood word. So first of all, we need to see whether we have a competency framework in place. Like Devashish sir said, assessment tools we had talked about. Every organization needs to have certain kind of behavioral competency framework in place. I'll just quote an example. Let us say I am working at a corporate level at ED or director level, right? So we have some competencies called as strategic leadership and operational leadership. Now I want to develop leaders, right? So at ED or director level, I don't want to develop a leader which is having operational leadership. I want to have a strategic leadership. So to excel in any field, as of now we are talking on coaching, we need to have a competency framework in place around which then we need to identify whom to coach, why to coach. Because in our organizations, let me tell you very clearly, sometimes it sometimes becomes a target driven, or we just follow each other. Like that's it. That person is doing, let us do that. So we need to have our own problem statement. Then it has to align to our values. So just to talk an example, care is our one of the value. So when we talk about coaching, it aligns beautifully to the care aspect, because here comes the empathy. Here comes when person is talking to each other, psychologically safety. So all these things come towards the care part. Then we have the passion. Once a person intrinsically motivated, he'll be passionate to do his or her job. So those kind of values, they have to relate to that. So accordingly, that initiative will definitely go forward, and we have a lot of connects, LinkedIn and other things. It will automatically flow from one company to another.
So I would want to ask another question, and that's related to, there's a lot of work happening in the PSUs. Somebody in the chat has also, I just happened to look at this question. They're talking about, can we have these case studies? And there's a lot of work that is happening. Can we get these case studies published so that it is available for everyone to see in some forums? That's a brilliant idea. I think I'll leave that to you as well. And because I'm also conscious of the time, there's one thing that I would want to know from each one of you is, what is the kind of support you want from the ecosystem? What can the ICF local chapters, credential coaches, peer PSUs, how can we help you accelerate the growth and progress through coaching in the PSUs?
Yeah, I'll answer to first. I'll answer. You see, when you are going to learn something, first you need to get convinced that learning is required for me, right? So the leaders first need to get convinced that yes, coaching can really make difference, right? Because sometimes they feel without any external intervention, if my organization is doing so well, why I need to invest time for this? But he should understand, we need to be communicated in clear terms that your business has grown maybe 50% per annum. But if you take out time to be coached by somebody from outside, it may grow 75%. Maybe it will be double, right? That kind of communication has to be given to them by external. You see, they will not listen to us.
That's agreed. Completely agreed. And I think that idea that came from the case studies who are already implementing this change will be the answer to what you're saying, Mr. Satpathy, and very beautifully said. Yes, thank you. What else could be there?
Yeah, and some success stories to be shown to them from the other PSUs also, right?
Yes,
that Indian Oil, EIL has implemented this, and they have really got some benefits in clear term, in measurable term, right? The engineers really understand more about numbers, figures. They will be really
so Anubha, how would you want to? Yes, Anubha, how would you want to?
So taking further to what Mr. Satpathy has said, see, the biggest acceleration comes from within, from within the organization. But it is always beneficial to know that there are enablers in terms of ICF and other coaching platforms, which are there to help you overcome your challenges that you're facing. As an HR practitioner, Bharti, I have, over a period of time, whenever there is a leadership change, have been in the chair to convince the leader why coaching is important. So it's a cyclical process every time there's a change in leadership, because coaching demands a lot of investment. And by investment, I don't only mean in terms of the money, but in terms of time as well. So to create that value, to help them understand from an external perspective, I think ICF can definitely play a role in inviting these leaders to be part of these discussions, right? In also asking them to give their perspective. And whenever you start articulating and looking back on your own leadership journey, all this will seem very real. And I think that will definitely create that momentum, keep things going, because it's not easy to have a coaching journey for years together. It is not easy. There have been lulls. When I say 2008 we began, it doesn't mean that it has been a smooth ride ever since. There have been lulls, there have been troughs, and there have been waves too, there have been peaks too. But to be able to surmount that challenge, to stay at your goal and stay focused, this requires a lot of conviction. And platforms like ICF definitely help create that conviction.
Yes, thank you, Anubha. That was very valuable. Now, won't do justice if we have Mr. Satpathy here, and he talks a lot to leaders, and he's been teaching lessons for leadership from the Mahabharata. So I will. We have a little clip from the Mahabharata. Kenneth, may I request you to play that for us?
खड़ा कैसे हो जाऊं मधुसूदन, खड़ा कैसे हो जाऊं?
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, Mr. Satpathy, for bringing this out so beautifully. It is showing how coaching at its core is actually about enabling clarity, action, and ownership, and not advice. And Krishna did not give him advice. He said, Parth, tumne utna hi pucha. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists. I want one question that Shweta has, and I would really love for her to bring that question up for all of us. Shweta, can Shweta be pinned, please?
Hey, no need to pin me. I'm talking here. So just a question that I wanted to ask all of you. What has changed in the PSU space? So I've trained, and I've worked closely with PSU. So I'm talking about 10 years ago. So I know you guys are not new to coaching. I've done Leader as a Coach program for some of the Navratna PSUs. Now, two of the biggest challenges we were articulating at that time, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, was how fragmented some of those initiatives were. So an executive director of one refinery would call me to come and do a Leader as a Coach program there. And even very recently, when I was speaking at, you have these internal institutes about how we make the experience more, how we make it reach all of the parts in these vast, complex organizations. So when you talk about initiatives such as Sarthi, Mohit, have they become more pervasive? What have we done about that fragmentation of interventions that I saw in the coaching space? Yeah. And in fact, I think Dr. Ranjan spoke to me about Sarthi when it was relatively young. So I'd love to hear if it's grown to be that pervasive thing, and how are we solving some of these fragmenting problems? Do we see building of internal coaches as a solution? But what do you see as solutions to this?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Shweta. Pretty nice one. I would love to answer it. So Sarthi, yes, it has grown beautifully, like I told. So now we have a very selective system. So first of all, we institutionalized it, right? So we have a portal called Sarthi. It's not like fragmented, like one ED called. You are very right in saying that. That's why I initially started the talk that it's been there since 2010, but rightly it was accepted in 2020. So we have a portal, separate portal for this, wherein all these selected candidates, and let me tell you, these selected candidates We have some age criteria, how many years of service left, what are the last 5 ratings, and in fact, for our flagship programs, which are 30 days programs from IIMs, criteria is, let us say, just an example, the 2 outstanding ratings and 3 in last 5 years. But for this program, we have raised the bar, and it says 1 more rating outstanding apart from the flagship program. So that is one thing, so that the right candidate comes. It's not like this director likes that person and he or she says you do the coaching. So a pool of candidates is listed, and we at the corporate level, we take care of this. And that pool of candidates, like I'll tell you, for this year, this pool of candidates in grade DGMs, GMs, and CGMs, there were around 400 people odd which fulfilled this criteria, right? And after that, we apply a second criteria, which is the assessment tool that I talked about, and Debashish sir also talked about, which basically captures the psychometric, the competencies and the potential of that person. If that person is falling in those 2 quartiles, top 2 quartiles, so that criteria further from 400 to it remains 200 people. From now, this 200 people, like Anubha ma'am also said, that learning, we believe it cannot be forced, and that I'm a firm believer of that coming from sales. So we now give an expression of interest to these 200 people that this is a coaching initiative which comes under the flagship, so-called flagship program initiative. We have that. So are you interested to join? Because unless and until there is interest, there is no point having that person on board. So from that pool, 200 people, those final 100 people comes, and like I shared the stats with you, dropout is just 5%, and that too is just on account of outside transfers. And post that 6 months of intervention, every 15 days, that's a virtual session for 1 hour with the coach. Post 6 months, there is a 3 months long assessment that goes on with the 360-degree feedback on all. And each and every participant feedback is recorded. As I'm talking to you right now, I have the complete report with me for last year, because thanks to Bharti, who invited me, so that made me do also my homework. And for all those 95 odd participants, we have the feedbacks that what impact did they bring about in their job spaces. So that is the kind of impact. And we sometimes relate it with business also, though I personally believe we should not relate it to business, because somewhere it's not only about business. Like sir showed the video, it's a Karam Bhumi. Karam Bhumi includes our workspace as well as our, when we're talking about empathy, it's also about family life. So if that person is improving his or her family life, because we undergo a lot of transfers. I have been transferred every 3 years in my job. It's been 22 and a half years. So the pain point of transfer is when I get to a new space, I'm very much in stress. How do I manage? Where is my kid's education? So that point of time, coaching comes in. I need a person who can assist me. New probationary officers, we are planning to have coaching sessions for them also. And then the flagship program launched by Scope, Daksh program. In that also, we have coaching included. That's done by IIM Ahmedabad and McKinsey. So there are structured 5 coaching sessions. And we are also developing a program of Leaders of Tomorrow, in which coaching has been kept as one of the main key pillars. And in our organization, we believe that we have to develop managers as coach, unless and until we democratize it, because this aspect everybody would love to have in his or her life, improving your own life. So this is aspect manager as coach. We are doing a 3-day program also multiple times, so that it gets into the culture of the organization. At the same time, we believe in one logo, like that we want to if I want to sum it up for Indian Oil, we want to institutionalize coaching without losing personalization, because it should not become a number game. Personalization is the key to coaching. So that's how we are building our entire framework on. And thank you for that lovely question.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mohit. Thank you so much for answering it so beautifully and at length. Thank you, Shweta, for asking that lovely question on behalf of all the coaches. We were, I'm sure, very, very eager to hear this from our panelists. Now, before we leave, we'll have one quick round. I don't want to call it rapid fire anymore, please. We're talking of harmony, so let's have rapid reflections. What's one word or phrase that you would want to talk about when you think of coaching? What coaching makes possible in your context, in one word or a phrase?
Coaching empowers.
Wonderful. Mr. Satpathy.
Yeah, it can make lots of difference in the organization. Lots of difference. Because from a private sector experience, I've seen in Airtel how it was making wonders.
Okay. Mohit.
I would say unlocking potential removing mental blocks. That's the keyword for me.
Awesome. And the last question, what one insight from today's conversation would you want all the PSU leaders who are sitting curious about coaching, what would you like to tell them?
Those who haven't experienced coaching, is it?
Yes.
So what I would like to say is don't test the waters sitting on the banks of the river. Take a dip, if not a plunge. Take a dip at least.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yes, Mohit.
Yeah, ma'am has described it beautifully, and talk to the people who have done it. We might not be 100% successful, but I always say let's take the positives. There are lots of negatives in this world, so let's the positives. If even there is one positive in what we have done, you take it, and that is great. And that's how we and Anubha ma'am relate to each other. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mr. Satpathy, for bringing this beautiful essence from the Mahabharata for all of us to show that coaching, how timeless the lessons from coaching have been, how timeless coaching itself has been. It's not something new. It is not something new to India. So thank you so much for bringing that special flavor for all of us today. Thank you to all my panelists, and I'm very conscious of the time. It's been an absolute privilege to hear from each one of you, how each one of you is thinking about coaching in the context of leadership, culture, and also nation building through your PSUs. And I really, really hope that today's dialogue continues to spark a lot more awareness, a lot more alignment, and so much more action from other PSUs as well. So thank you so much for joining in today with us.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Satpathy sir, for giving the real meaning of Sarthi to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
just take maybe another 30 seconds to connect is that connect the Johari window with Mahabharata. I'll tell you on coaching and mentoring. In Johari window, the most important is that you don't know, but others know. That you connect to coaching, that's going to make lots of difference.
I'm sure. Mr. Satpathy, I think one specific podcast with you will be due only on Mahabharata and how you relate that with coaching. We will not be able to justice in this panel discussion with such limited time, but we would love to have you over once again for this special. Thank you so much once again to all of you, and over to Deepika and Kenneth.
So I think
Deepika.
we've had some very, very interesting sessions. I know we've had some serious stuff, but let's move to something more fun. Fun in a no, serious work in a fun way, I would say. And with that, I'll hand it over to Kenneth for the last segment of which is very, very interesting, I must say.
Thank you, Deepika. Yes. And next on stage, we have our beloved Mr. Radhakant Jaiswal ji. So Radhakant ji is a management and engineering graduate with 34 plus years of experience in the corporate world. He's an entrepreneur, coach, meme artist, poet, author, storyteller, hypnosis, and NLP practitioner. Currently shaping the Akshay Minds Private Limited in the domain of coaching, learning and development, talent acquisition, and HR services as managing director. Successfully volunteered at ICF Delhi NCR between 2021 to 25. He has been an active member of ICF Global and Delhi chapter since November 2018. Welcome on board, sir.
Namaskar. Good evening. His sound is there. In the current emotionally charged atmosphere, due to the tension between India and Pakistan and related uncertainty, coaches will be anchors of calm and composure for others. Hence, we may ourselves need grounding and emotional processing. This online mime session can help you reconnect with your inner stillness, process collective anxiety, and reignite your coaching presence. Aligning with today's motto, 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. Here are few joint activities for us to center ourselves and build resilience through embodied silence by using tools like mime, coaching, hypnosis, and NLP. Today's theme is holding space in turbulence. Yes, holding space in turbulence. The objective of these upcoming moments are going to be to help you acknowledge your inner emotional waves and cultivate calm, compassion, and grounded presence amidst external chaos and uncertainty. Please keep sharing your experiences on reflective questions as and when asked as your response in chat box. We will start with first activity, which is silent grounding. I will give you a demo, then you have to repeat with me. Gathering energy from the sky and from the earth, placing it gently on your heart. Now repeat this act with me 3 times, either by closing your eyes or keeping your eyes open. Gathering energy from sky and from earth, placing it gently on your heart. Now we will do second time, gathering energy from sky and earth and placing it gently on your heart. One more time, gathering energy from sky and from earth, placing gently on your heart. Through this, we can achieve centering our breath, connecting to higher purpose and grounding. Feel the emotions you are experiencing with this act. Make a mental note of these. And if you want, you can write on the chat box. Now, let's move to second mime act with me. The invisible storm. Imagine or visualize being surrounded by an invisible storm. Strong winds, sirens, shaking grounds. Just watch me, how I struggle walking against the wind, covering my ears, shivering. Just feel yourself as if you are walking against wind, covering your ears, shivering. And then gradually shift by building invisible shelter around yourself of walls of light through your breath and intention. Sit calmly inside of the shelter in silence. Invite all those to whom you want to be in the shelter. The purpose of this, to mirror the chaos while evoking internal emotional awareness and self-protection. Here, I would like you to reflect on what is my invisible shelter in this storm? What is my invisible shelter in this storm? And who do I choose to be inside it? Yes, who do I choose to be inside it? Answer on the chat box. Now, third act is very interactive and group activity. Passing the light. I'm holding a glowing orb of light in my hand. This is symbolizing compassion, strength, hope, trust. It could be of any color of your choice. I'm holding it, feeling it, experiencing it. Now, I'm passing it gently across the screen with my both hands to hand it over to all of you present with me in this session. Take the orb of light. Hold it close. Feel it. Experience the power of it. It is of your choice of color, light. Now, pass it forward to next person in this call through your right hand and concurrently receive on your left hand from another person in this call. Receive the orb of light. Hold it close to you. Feel it. Experience it. Do this act in silence without uttering any sound. Keep doing this forwarding, receiving, holding close to you the orb of light, watching one and another, building a collective field keep doing it for few more moments. The purpose of this is to create connection, unity, and shared emotional support without words. Take a long deep breath and bring back your focus on your breathing. Now, here comes the reflective question to you. What am I passing on to others? Fear or hope? Tension or trust? Answer chat box or whatever comes to your mind. You can put in the chat box. Now, this is going to be final act. Planting. Planting a seed in the ground and seeing silently growing in a tree. Now dig with your hands the ground to create a space for the seed in the ground. After placing the seed, put the mud on it. Gently water on it. And now keep regularly watering this area. Watching it grow silently into a tree. Feel and visualize, imagine the branches and the tree is standing tall. In any circumstances of any kind of storm or uncertainty, it is standing tall. This is a metaphor for resilience and hope. Again, bring back your attention to your breathing. Drop any one word in the chat that you just embodied now. Thank you for your presence and doing activity with me. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Radhakanji. This was so wow, wow, wow. Okay, that will be my words. And what a beautiful mime activity and what calming effect it had. Really, really, Radhakanji, you were really a magician, as somebody put it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to now invite Kaushik for the closing remarks. So, Kaushik, I know we are on time, but it'll be good if you could say a few words. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying back.
Thanks, Deepika. And ladies and gentlemen, good evening. So after Radhakant, and I call him RK, after that magical performance, I think he had rendered the vote of thanks. But with RK's permission and all of you being here, what an evening it has been. Truly a mosaic, true to the spirit of the celebration of coaching. I think it's been a fine blend of expression, education, and experience to me. We gave our best, and I hope you engaged highly. So deep gratitude to all the panelists, speakers, and participants. Thanks immensely to the Kolkata chapter, one in its second month of being, for participating in that slice of joy during this inaugural extravaganza. So Kolkata, something close to my heart, Korbo, Lorbo, Jitbo. Heartfelt thanks to Linda Berlot for her incisive insights on team coaching, all the way from Dubai, in her signature style. And so to Miss Anuba Agarwal, Devashish Satpathy, and Mr. Mohit Goel for treading in that less trodden path, at least for us, which is that of coaching, impacting leadership development and organizational transformation in PSUs. At Mohit, if you're around, 2,500 years later, thanks to the profession and the community, Arjuna may not be able to choose Coach Krishna. It could be a Coach Radha or a Coach Durga. Thanks, Radhakant, for the moments of razor-sharp golden silence. It was truly an ignition of creative coaching. That's my takeaway. And the audience, you have been audaciously awesome. You have really chirped, kept all the speakers and panelists busy, and the energy was high. Big shout out to the hosts and moderators and my colleagues in the chapter, Seema, Bharti, Sandhya, Kenneth, Shruti, and to all the other volunteers who dared to share. And as cool as cucumber in the scorching May has been the backstage team of members in the chapter. So thank you, Deepika, Sanjeev, Bela, Vivek, Abhitav, Jaya, and Krishnan and Rohit. ICW was our first major event for a brand new board to get the litmus tested and trust the colors changed appropriately. And I must thank Deveshi, the first she/her president of the chapter, for leading us superbly into this delicately curated and crafted mosaic. And last but not the least, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the leaders of Bharat or India who chose to give peace a chance and seized the fire. What was missiles just a week before could turn into a tranquil mosaic. So deep gratitude. And before I sign off, 2 clarion calls. 1, join the guest of ICF WhatsApp group if you are a non-member and want to know more about us. We are a vibrant tribe. And number 2, join the volunteer task force if you are already a member. This is your home. So the celebration continues, ladies and gentlemen, with many more digital episodes. Also, the chapter turns 10 next month, and we plan to create more noise straight from the mosaic. So we need all of you to be part of the party. After all, as coaches, you need to demonstrate presence consistently. So time to sign off. Wishing all of you a great weekend with colorful mosaics. Namaskar and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Your feedback is important to us, so please take a moment to share your feedback. But let's continue to inspire, transform, and thrive together. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Deepika, would you like to talk about RDs, or you put it in the chat box?
Oh, no, unfortunately, there are 2. I'm so sorry, that's my miss, Seema, but it's about 2.5 RDs for attending this session. So we've taken the attendance. We'll make sure that this comes your way.
Thank you.
And can we have
Thank you.
Kenneth
Thank
play
you.
the song while we
Yeah.
आशाएं 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 कुछ पाने की हो आसास कोई अरमा हो जो खास खास आशाएं हर कोशिश में हो बार बार कर दरियाओं को आर पार आशाएं
तूफानों को चीर के मंजिलों को छीन ले आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी ओ हो आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी उड़ जाए लेके खुशी अपने संग तुझको वहाँ जन्नत से मुलाकात हो पूरी हो तेरी हर दुआ आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी
गुजरे ऐसी हर रात रात हो ख्वाहिशों से बात बात आशाएं लेकर सूरत से आग आग गाए जा अपना राग राग आशाएं
कुछ ऐसा करके दिखा खुद खुश हो जाए खुदा आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं खिले दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं उम्मीदें आशाएं
Lovely. Thank you. So if you sign off now, thank you. I think we have.
you, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
Bye.
Lovely. Made
so
it.
much.
Bye. We love you.
Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.